prevention and containment measures without fear or favor. For avoidance of doubt, the following measures will be enforced. A curfew running from 1830 hours to 0600 hours for the sake of public health and in efforts to contain the deadly biosecurity threat. The security forces urge the public and motorists to restrict movement and to adhere to the stated curfew hours. Businesses are to operate from 0800 hours to 1530 hours. Intercity travel remains banned. The security forces will ensure that pirate taxis or mshika-shika are decisively dealt with as part of the COVID-19 Level 4 national lockdown measures. Beer halls, nightclubs, and bars remain closed. I repeat, remain closed. Those found violating this restriction will be dealt with decisively. Citizens are urged to inform police should they come across these violations. Weddings and all other public gatherings remain banned for the duration of Level 4 national lockdown, except for funerals, for which only 30 people are allowed to attend, a maximum of 30 people only. Business entities are to decongest workplaces as announced by His Excellency the President. For the sake of public health and human security and in line with their mandates, the security forces will ensure strict adherence to the above measures. Offenders will be dealt with in accordance with the country's laws. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, COVID-19 is real, and every citizen is obliged to follow the aforementioned measures as well as the World Health Organization health protocols. Together and working in unison, masking, social distancing, and adhering to the national lockdown Level 4 measures, we will flatten the COVID-19 curve and protect ourselves from this lethal biosecurity threat. I thank you. Okay. Some to do with the health issues I may defer to the chairman of the task force as to what is supposed to be done, what can be done, what cannot be done. And police are there to enforce those regulations as announced by His Excellency the President, some of which I've actually highlighted them in my statement. Then the second one, the issue of the risk. I think I should probably ask the reporter what is meant, because, so are you saying the schools must not be closed because the students will take the virus home?
In actual fact, I'm not saying anything. I'm just asking, since there has been an outbreak, let's say at Rishawan, Middle State University's Rishawan campus, and then the university closes, and then students are being sent home. I'm just asking about the risk. Do we understand the danger there?
All the measures that government is putting in place are to try and minimize the risk of spreading. So the government is doing everything in its utmost to ensure that people are localized, we minimize movement from one place to another, than to continue as if business is as normal as it has always been. We are in difficult times, we're in a pandemic crisis, so government is doing whatever is possible to ensure that people's lives are saved. And then the last one was about the army. In accordance with the emergency status in which we find ourselves, the government can call upon any security institution to implement the measures should there be that necessity. If it arises, the need arises. I'm sure the law allows government to call upon any of the security institutions as and when the requirement arises to assist in the enforcement of the restrictions. But as of now, the police will be enforcing the restrictions. But should the need arise, it's allowed in the law, it's allowed in the Constitution for the government to call upon any security institution to assist. I think I've answered all the three questions. Are we done?
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to add that you need to appreciate that there were measures also that were put in place to make sure that all schools adhered to certain regulations and measures that were minimally expected to be adhered to by every school in the country. And this involved training of all teachers, and also it involved testing of all teachers, and I'm sure you are aware that teachers were regarded as a very special group, that most of them were vaccinated. And so from time to time, most of these teachers and also even students are tested. This is how we have managed now to identify most of these problems in schools. So where there is a decision made and a pronouncement by His Excellency, it means that those decisions, therefore, will have to be followed. It applies across the board. But I want to thank the Ministry of Education so far, that they have managed to contain the situation. But just this morning, I understand that the Ministry of Health met with the Ministry of Education to strategize on how best they can handle these situations. But we are aware that there are vaccines that have already been imported in the country because it was a concern. We hope that this requirement that the teachers and of course, if need be, those that were identified as having the virus, some of them will remain in isolation at this institution until the situation improves. I thank you.
Okay, last round. Urge our citizens to get vaccinated. Please, let's spread the word. Let's all go and get vaccinated. Vaccination is free, so may we all kindly go and get vaccinated.
No, maybe.
Sorry, maybe if we can start with other questions before
that one,
we
yeah.
summarize.
Okay.
And
Because
maybe
we
with
have to rush to the
We have to rush to
end.
the Okay, this one I will refer to the chairman of the task force, Honorable Minister Muchinguri.
Thank you so much for that very important question. Firstly, just to assure you that government has already procured 2 million extra vaccines. And we are very pleased that that will ensure that there is consistency, and also we will ensure that there is sustainability of that program. At the beginning, I want to agree with you that we had some serious challenges where there was a little bit of resistance. But this is expected because, of course, some social media reports, some were fake news, and people were quite uncertain about the situation. But as is right now, the demand really is outweighing the supply. So we are very pleased with also the campaigns that we have been undertaking. And you heard also when the president made the pronouncements that he called upon members of parliament to make sure that they appeal to their constituencies to make sure that they take this issue of vaccination seriously. I'm sure you're aware of the studies that were done, that in some higher education institutions, they discovered that those that were not vaccinated tended to suffer much more in terms of the infection levels. Those that were vaccinated, they don't suffer as much pain as would be those that are not vaccinated. So with some of the evidence, scientific, that we are discovering, I think more and people realize that there are benefits to accrue when you are vaccinated against not being vaccinated. So demand is actually higher than the supply. And I'm glad that there is assurance from government that consistently they will continue purchasing until we reach the herd immunity of 60%. Is it 60%? So we will attain targets. I'm sure you heard yesterday from the president that I think by October we would have reached the 60% herd immunity.
So ma'am, there won't be any forced vaccination in whatever sector of government?
Sorry?
No forced vaccination within government sectors?
Forced? We are very pleased by the results that we have attained so far, coming from the civil service sector. And it translates also to the military, the security sector. I would say almost 90% of our security and defense forces are also vaccinated. You know, we received some donations. So we are pleased about the response that we are getting from that sector which you have raised.
All right, colleagues, maybe for the interest of time.
Comrade Dr. Emerson Danidzo Mnangagwa musi wa 29 June 2021 vakataura maringe nezvinotarisirwa kuti vanhu veZimbabwe tinge tichiita kuitira kuti tidzivirire kupararira kwechirwere cheCovid-19. Naizvozvo vanoongorora mapurisa edu nevamwe vavo vachaona kuti mhuri yese yeZimbabwe yatevedza zvese zvakataurwa nemutungamiri wenyika zvikazoburitswa mumutemo weStatutory Instrument 187 of 2021. Zvimwe zvezvinhu zvinotarisirwa kuti tive tichiita semhuri yeZimbabwe ndezvekuti hatitenderwi kufamba kubva nguva dza6:30 manheru kusvika 6 dzamakuseni kunze kwevavo chete vanenge vachiita mabasa akaita ezvipatara ekurapa nekutakura mishonga nezvinhu zvakadaro. Vamwe vese tinoshanda kubva 8 dzamakuseni kusvika 3:30 dzezuva rovira. Kufamba kubva mune rimwe guta uchienda kune rimwe hazvichabvumirwa. Kunotengeserwa doro munzvimbo dzekutambira manight clubs hazvichi kubvumirwa kuvhurwa. Avo vachawanikwa vachivhura vachasangana nemutemo. Nemiwo nesuwo vanhu tikaona vanhu vari munharaunda medu vachityora mutemo uyu vachivhura munonwirwa doro kana kutengesa doro zvisiri pamutemo, tinokumbirisa kuti muzivise mapurisa. Kuungana kwatagara tichingoita hakuchatenderwi. Kuungana kurungotenderwa chete ndekuko kana tichiungana parufu. Asi tiri parufu ipapo panongobvumirwa vanhu 30 chete, hatidariki vanhu 30. Michato nekumwe kuungana hazvichabvumirwa panguva ino yatiri. Kumabasa kwedu tiri kunzi tinofanira kudzikisa nhamba yevanhu vari kushanda mumabasa medu. Regai ndipedzise ndichiti chirwere chiriko, hama dzinodiwa, chiriko. Tese tinokumbiriswa kuti titevedze mitemo iyi yakataurwa nemukuru wenyika musi wa 29 June. Ndatenda. Jekiseni rinotibatsira kudzivirira chirwere ichi. Tinokumbirisa tese tiende tinobayiwa zvinonzi pachirungu vaccination. Mativi mana ese enyika hatikurudziranei, tese tinobayiwa. Hakuna chinobhadharwa pakubayiwa. Kubayiwa kuri pachena. Saka ngatikurudziranei tese hande tinobayiwa tikwanise kudzivirira chirwere ichi chisanyanya kupararira. Asi zvatinonyanya kukoshesa zvatinokumbirisa ndezvekuti tisanyanya kufamba. Kana tichikwanisa kusafamba ngatirege kufamba. Toone kuwo zvakare takapfeka zvokuvharidzira zvatingati mamasiki. Ngatapfekei nemazvo, ngatirege kufamba takadzikisa tichisiya mhino dziri panze. Hatina kudzivirira kwatinoita chirwere ichi. Nezvakare ngatichengetedzei kana takagara kana takamira ngatirege kubva taenda padyo napadyo tichiteedza zviri kutaurwa nemitemo yehurumende. Uye zvakare ngatikudzei nyaya yekugeza maoko edu tichishandisa mvura ine sipo kana kuti tichishandisa masanitizer. Tatenda.
All right,